What's up guys, it's your Fedora boy here, and yes, this is what I sound like. Shocking, I know. Now, you're probably thinking, what are you doing man? This is an animation. Where's the animation? And to that I say, there is some animation in this video, but that's not the main point. No, we're here today to take a look at the Figma, Persona 5, and Persona 5 the animation, Phantom Thieves. Do the thing. Now, I'm gonna keep this brief since the original Persona 5 has been out since 2017, or 2016 if you live in Japan, but if you still don't know anything about Persona 5, get out! Persona 5 is the 5th main series Persona game to be released by Atlus. Persona itself is a spin-off of another Atlus game called Shin Megami Tensei. There's also a plethora of Persona spin-offs, but we're not gonna get into those because a lot of them don't make much sense. Anyways, each new Persona game follows a completely different set of characters. So if you don't know anything about Personas 1 through 4, it's okay. I don't either. But you don't have to in order to enjoy Persona 5. For even more details, you can either watch the rest of this video, learn about the game from some other place, I recommend this lovely piece of media, or if you're really insane, go play the game and come back in about 100 hours. That's not a joke. Seriously, this game is freaking long. As for this toy review, I'm not going to be going into too much detail since we got a lot of figures to cover. So these character segments will be brief, go over the basics of the character, a few things I like, and a few things I don't like about each figure. That in mind, let's get into it with the first figure, which is none other than player character, self-insert, whatever you named him in your Persona playthrough, otherwise known as Joker, or Ren Namamiya since that's his canon name, but yeah. Joker is a transfer student at Shujin Academy, sent there as a type of probation thanks to his recent case of assaulting the elderly. I won't go into any more detail, you'll just have to play the game for yourself. Anyways, the painting and the sculpting on this figure is excellent. Now I gotta be honest, of all the Phantom Thieves, Joker here is probably my least favorite. I mean, he does look exactly like his game and animation counterparts, but the issue lies in his posing. Because of his flared out collars, sprawling coat-like jacket, awkward proportions in his crotch, tiny boot heels, and fiddly cufflinks, it makes him a bit annoying to pose. But it's not impossible. You can get some decent poses out of him with or without the use of the included Figma Figure stand that's standard with all Figma figures. So while Joker falls flat in some areas, Ryuji on the other hand... Ryuji is the second human character you meet that becomes a member of the Phantom Thieves. Gotta specify human because of... He too has a troubled past, though it wasn't that bad. I mean, he didn't have to transfer schools thanks to an assault case, but rather was a victim of assault himself by the no-good Olympic athlete turned volleyball coach Suguru Kamoshida. After not wanting to put up with the crap any longer, he awakened to his persona and donned the codename Skull. Now much like Joker before him, Skull is a spitting image of his game and animation counterparts, painting and sculpting along with it. But unlike Joker, Skull is much more enjoyable to handle. The articulation is pretty much exactly the same, but due to the limitations of Joker's design, Skull is able to get just a bit more posability by comparison. That added base of the neck joint really adds a lot for head posability. I know I said the painting and sculpting is on par with Joker, but unfortunately there's a few small paint mishaps, most notably the one on his chest area. It's a bit unfortunate. Of all the figures I own, he's the only one with notable paint mishaps. Well, at least he doesn't have tiny girl feet, so he's able to stand and pose with or without a stand. And speaking of tiny girls, no, we aren't at Futaba yet. Also please, get help. Anne is the third human character to join the Phantom Thieves, and the first girl. Why else would she have this type of outfit if not to grab people's attention early on? Starting out as the damsel in distress, she found herself in a rather abusive relationship with the volleyball coach. You know, the same guy that beat Ryuji. But eventually she overcame the iron grip that he had on the school, awakened to her persona, and donned the codename Panther. which leads into... The painting on her suit really does help give it that shiny leather appearance that she has, and these tiny zippers that are all along her body are also very nicely painted. Articulation is as you'd expect for these figures, and despite the previously mentioned girl feet that Joker has, Panther can actually stand pretty dang well, even without a stand. Probably since she doesn't have all these coat bits in the back, rather only having a posable tail and a fat ass. On to Yusuke. Fourth member and self-proclaimed art thought of the group, Yusuke spent most of his life in the home of his art mentor, Ichiryu-sai Madarame. After realizing Madarame was actually a bit of a fraud, he abandoned his childhood home and passed, moving forward to join the Phantom Thieves, donning the codename Fox. Now Fox here is a bit of a strange one, both in-game and in figure form. His crotch material appears to be the same as Joker's, and much like Joker, his flared out collars limit his head posability. However, much like Skull, Fox has a base of the neck joint, or at least that's what it looks and feels like. He's essentially a mix between Joker and Skull in those terms, meaning he's good, but he's not great. At least he doesn't have tiny girl feet, so he can stand up decently even without a stand. I mentioned tiny girl feet, so does that mean... No, not her. A different tiny girl. Makoto is the next member to join the Phantom Thieves, and dons the codename Queen. Introduced as the goody-goody and being a stickler for the rules, it's not until meeting up with the Phantom Thieves that she opens up to her inner self and becomes... a biker girl? Yeah, I don't know either. Now of all the girl Phantom Thieves, Queen is my favorite character, but her figure is probably my least favorite of the girls. I mean, don't get me wrong, she looks great and is very accurate and all that. It's just a few glaring problems. One of them being her scarf. It pops off too easily. Granted, Skull also has a scarf that can pop off easy, but since it's so much smaller, it's not as big an issue as it is for Queen here. Being that it's longer and posable makes it way more annoying than Skull's. And there's the tiny girl feet as well, but that's commonplace here. The rest of her problems come in what's been given to her, but that'll be in a later segment. For now, let's finally move on to... Yep, Futaba, codename Oracle, everyone's favorite character. She's a shut-in, a hacker, awkward as hell, and doesn't understand social interaction. So basically, she's the self-insert for most people, thus explaining why people tend to not like her. She's just like you loser. Her Phantom Thief design, on the other hand, is pretty cool. The dark color scheme, with accents of green, combined with her orange hair, help her stand out more. What also helps her stand out, or more importantly stand, is her very big boots, as opposed to other characters' tiny girl feet. She has the biggest feet, with Skull being the second biggest. Ironic how the smallest girl has the biggest feet. We should probably move on. Her poses work well enough, though her long orange hair does get in the way of some head posability, and blocks the stand hole, meaning if you want her posed on the stand, you may be limited in the head movement. Now Oracle here is my second favorite figure of the girls, which means my first favorite girl is... Haru is the second to last, or last member if you take what comes after into account, but let's not get into that right now. Haru is a soft-spoken plant girl when introduced, but after some conflict with her father, her potential fiancé, and some inner turmoil with the Phantom Thieves, she crossed paths with them, joined up with them, and donned the codename Noir to teach her father some manners. Unfortunately, it led to his death, but Noir's design is by far my favorite. Now if you haven't already guessed, but the name Fedora Boy doesn't just come from nowhere. Yes, I am one of those weirdos who wear fedoras on a regular basis. Granted, Noir's hat isn't technically a fedora, but the design gives off that look, and I like that a lot. As for the rest of her design, the colors of pink, purple, and black, along with a more traditional gentleman thief aesthetic, appeals to me more than a biker girl or literally Catwoman. However, tiny girl feet hold her back just a tiny bit, but her overall appearance and incredible amount of accessories, which we'll talk about in a future segment, make her an absolute blast. Now Noir is my favorite girl and overall favorite, so Akechi Akechi is my second favorite and overall favorite boy Phantom Thief figure. Introduced as a master teen detective tasked with uncovering the identities of the Phantom Thieves, it's eventually revealed that he has also been acting as a Phantom Thief. Having knowledge of the metaverse and due to some conflicts that happen, has no choice but to join up with the main group and take on the codename Crow. Now Crow's design is the most different from the rest of the Phantom Thieves. It's explained in-game that each Phantom Thief's outfit is accustomed to them based on their perception of what a thief is, and Crow thinks thieves run around in the brightest colors imaginable. If only he had a different design that had darker colors. Unlikely. Anyways, he's the only guy Phantom Thief member who doesn't have any flared colors, making him the best by default. But other than that, he doesn't have anything in particular that helped him stand out as opposed to the rest of the gang. So the reasoning for him to be my favorite is more biased. I don't know, I guess since his colors are so much brighter and eye-catching in comparison to the rest of the group, it helps draw the eye to him. At least his feet aren't major heels or tiny. Now with all the characters out of the way, you have to wonder, how would the Phantom Thieves steal anything without some equipment? Well... Now the accessories range from the thieves' weapons, alternate hands, alternate faces, and alternate hair pieces that show them without their masks on, which are nice for persona summoning poses. But I personally prefer their masks on, with the possible exception being Oracle. Most of the time she's seen without her mask due to the nature of her persona and what it does, which I won't go into detail on that because, well, yeah. Anyways... Going through the accessories, we have the alternate hands. Now each figure comes with the same assortment of basic hands, those being the closed fist, open hands, grabby hands, and a trigger finger hand. Of course, the grabby hands are used to hold most of the thieves' accessories, mainly being their weapons, with an exception to Queen, who has her weapons already in alternate hands. I think that's because her weapons are too small to just be its own accessory. Though it is a bit weird that Oracle comes with grabby hands, but nothing of note that she can grab onto. I guess she could use them to grab her included laptop, but no one holds a laptop like that. It's better to rest it onto her included laptop holding hand. Unique in the sense that it has a sculpted indent that allows for better looking laptop holding poses. And of course, the trigger finger hands are used to hold, you guessed it, the guns, with a few added hands for two-handed guns as seen in Skull, Fox, Panther, and Noir respectively. In other unique alternate hands, each Phantom Thief, aside from Queen, Joker, and in some cases Noir, but we'll get into that, come with unique hands that are meant to emulate each of their all-out attack victory poses. Now I mentioned Noir being a special case. She comes with a pair of hat-tipping hands, which make for some fantastic poses, as well as a single pointing hand. But what makes Noir even more unique is that she can come with a bit more. As you saw in the intro, this version of the Figma Noir is the DX version, meaning she has a few extra accessories. Those being what I can only call tea-set hands, teacup and plate, and table and chair. This allows you to fully recreate her all-out attack victory pose. Other unique accessories that each character come with are the first calling card included with Skull as well as a unique card holding hand, the status ailment fan included with both Panther and Fox, the redesigned calling card included with Queen as well as a card holding hand for her, the Necronomicon hieroglyphics included with Oracle, and a chess piece included with Crow. Some of these accessories are really good, while others are a bit questionable. I can understand one of the characters including the fan, but two characters? Why not include the Sayuri painting with Fox instead of the fan? That is much more significant to his character than the goddamn fan. Or, why not give Fox the redesigned calling card since he redesigned it? But if they did that, what would come with Queen, who is sorely lacking in accessories? Not counting her weapons since those are technically alternate hands, the only significant accessory that comes with her is her gun. Then again, Crow isn't much better only having a very tiny chess piece. I suppose it makes sense since the palace he was introduced in was the Casino Palace, but I don't know. Really, these two are the only characters who have lackluster accessories, with Joker being third, as his unique accessory is just Morgana. Which, don't get me wrong, is nice and makes sense for his character, but it doesn't necessarily add to Joker himself. Now you're not going to be able to display these figures with all the accessories, so, standard with Figma, you get a bag to house all other accessories that aren't in use. And with that, we're essentially at the end. Roll that ending. So overall, the Persona 5 Figma figures are amazing. Obviously, I recommend you get them if you're a fan of Persona 5, though that might be hard since these are relatively old figures, so aftermarket prices can get pretty high. I know this review is kinda random coming from what's been primarily an animation channel, but I would like to branch out into other kinds of content maybe. Obviously animation will be the main bulk of the channel, and my justification for doing this video is because of the stop motion elements, so it kind of relates, albeit very loosely. Depending on how this video does, I may consider reviewing the upcoming Figma Violet. At the time of me working on this video, I'll be preparing for a trip to Japan where I hope to find her. Just let me know if you want to see it. By the way, if you couldn't tell, the style of review is heavily influenced by one Jobby the Hong, a fantastic toy reviewer that actually makes toy reviews fun to watch. Go check him out, he's fantastic. Anyways, I hope you watch some of my animations. Like the video, and of course, subscribe for more animation, and maybe more figure reviews. I'm your Fedora Boy, and I'll see you later.
There's no time for